Welcome to the Story Tinker podcast, a place for in-depth analysis of stories, mainly from Webtoon. Co-hosted by sharp, witty, and dare I say, thirsty fans, we dive deep in every episode, analyzing character struggles, relationship development, and of course, theories. We also interview people working in creative industries. You can follow the Story Tinker on YouTube, podcast platforms, and social media. For bonus content, sneak peeks, and more, you can support the Story Tinker on Patreon. We're really appreciative of your likes, subscribes, follows, comments, and ratings on all platforms. Thanks for listening to the Story Tinker, and let's get started.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of our coverage of The Witcher. This episode is called What is Lost? And we're once again going to go topically. We're starting off talking a bit about the Elves, and then Geralt and Ciri, and then what goes on in Aretuza. So just first off with the Elves, we're just going to a little bit look at them throughout the episode. The Elves have come back to Cintra, also known as 𝘕𝘰𝘵𝘬𝘴, and they're rehabitating it, I guess. And this is like their home, and it's a very big deal for them because they've kind of been homeless for a long time. And to return to their ancestral home obviously means a lot to them.
So wait, Cintra was their ancestral home?
At some point, yeah. And forgive me for not knowing like Witcher lore completely, but it was theirs originally.
I think it's really briefly mentioned later in the episode, isn't it? That it's there. They got kicked out. They lost it, and they're all quite happy to be going back there, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sense it was a really, really long time ago. So, and we know also originally Elves were first, or one of the first races to enter the continent before humans. So there's that as well. One of the things that struck me that was very funny, I think we mentioned this before, where Fringilla talks about like, oh, we have come to liberate. And once again, I thought this was hilarious because I don't get how you liberate people by murdering all of them, but whatever. I think we talked about this a little bit when we talked about this. So anyway, so there's that. And then now let's talk about Geralt and Ciri. So we started the episode, Ciri is practicing because as of last episode, Geralt realizes that even his own home is not safe for her, and he starts training her. So she's with this wooden sword and this straw figure and, chopping away. She's really determined. She really wants to get better. She's putting her all into it. And Lambert, we could tell that the Witchers, and especially Lambert, are a little resentful that Geralt killed Eskel. When they're talking about it, he's like, oh, I know what killed Eskel, right? Which is to say that Geralt is the one who killed him, right? And they're trying to figure out, Vesemir is sitting there in his lab and poking at Eskel's body, trying to figure out to figure out what happened to him. And when Lambert says that, oh, I know what killed Eskel, Geralt obviously feels guilty, and he remembers the scene of him and Eskel when they were training, and how it's just like a real brotherly scene, training together, and it shows their affection, and it's just trying to bring home the relationship that they had. And I know that I've been reading online, I know this is one of the criticisms from people who have read the books, that Eskel was apparently a larger character in the books, and they felt that they didn't do him justice because they just showed him briefly, and they showed him to be pretty nasty, which apparently isn't in the books. And so, and they didn't give us enough of an emotional connection with him. But whatever, I mean, as a casual viewer, it was fine for me.
Yeah. I mean, they made him really unlikable very quickly. They did a very good job if that's what they wanted to do. But at the same time, I guess I can see how if you were someone that read the books, I haven't, so I didn't know. But I can see how if you're someone that read the books, you'll be like, but they just made him look like a jackass and not like how he is. So I can see that would be annoying. But I actually didn't read any reviews on that, so I had no idea.
I think whenever you do these adaptations of these huge fantasy things, like Lord of the Rings is a really good example.
Yeah.
There is so much detail, and there are so many characters and so much lore. You absolutely could not translate all of that into a film or a TV series or anything. You just couldn't do it. So they've got to make cuts somewhere, haven't they? There's always going to be someone who, oh my God, that was my favorite character. Why did you cut them out?
Yeah.
But, from a kind of if you separate the mediums, I think then it's absolutely fine, isn't it? You're not watching a faithful adaptation of it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think anyone that goes into watching a series or a movie based off of novels needs to go in there knowing that there are just parts that won't be there because it's impossible to fit everything.
yeah, you just can't do it, can you?
You just can't. There's too many details. You just can't.
No.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
I understand. Go ahead, sorry.
Also, how much time has lapsed between the second episode and this episode? Was it a month?
I think
Because
it's pretty much
That
right.
is the big question, isn't it?
Anymore. Geralt's injury has very much healed, and Ciri is a lot more advanced in her training than just the little movements she was doing at the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking like a few weeks had to have passed.
Yeah.
You would think so. I don't think you can take Geralt's he heals really quickly, doesn't he?
That's true. That is
But yeah, she certainly has stepped everything up, hasn't she, Ciri? She's
Yeah.
got an awful lot better. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it must have been a little while.
Right. So speaking of that, Lambert is, I don't know if he's just generally always this prickly or if he is upset at Geralt's relationship with Ciri, like maybe he feels she doesn't belong there because, he basically teases her. He's like, you're a princess, you don't know what you're doing, you're not doing any real training, like this is just nonsense what you're doing with the, with the puppet. And he slices the puppet, and straw man in half. And he tells her, oh, you want to do some real training? Come right here. And they go to this, what is essentially, looks like an American Ninja Warrior medieval version. So the thing is with this obstacle course is that unlike American Ninja Warrior, it doesn't have water for you to fall on. It's not made out of foam, so you don't hurt yourself when you bang into stuff. This is like lethal. Like you get hit with spikes, like you're dead. Like, I don't know.
How is she not dead? How did she how do you fall to the ground by this swinging wooden thing, pendulum practically, and then not die or get injured?
Human bodies are really resilient. I have fallen off horses more times than I care to remember. I have broken so many bones. I broke my neck once. I had my left arm completely stuffed full of metal and rebuilt, and I still get on. So
that's,
I guess,
very impressive.
Yeah.
I think that's just a horse person thing, and obviously it's a Ciri thing as well. I fell off. Okay, I'll go and do it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. She is completely determined. And, I think Lambert wasn't really expecting her to be able to follow through. He thought she would be intimidated. He thought she would give up as soon as she falls down the first time. He's kind of happy to see her fall down, but she just keeps going on again and again and again. And she actually calls, the witchers at some point, they call Geralt to come see, and she finally makes it through everything, except she falls in the last part. And Geralt, instead of being like, good job, he's like, I don't know, you missed the landing or something like that.
Yeah. To me, that felt like a proud papa moment, even though he didn't actually say he was proud, but you could tell that when he was standing and watching, he was having a very strong proud papa moment.
Definitely.
Which was really adorable.
I think it was both proud papa and scared papa, because seeing her go to the next level, I think he's just thinking about all the dangers she's going to face and how her life is going to be in danger all the time. So I think it's a mixture of both. And
again, going back to horse riding, my parents used to refuse to watch me when I got to a certain point when we were kids, because they were like, no, can't look, too scary.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
But Lambert, if you'll notice, Lambert turned from being mean to being supportive. He's like, you got it, girl, you could do it. So that's credit. I think that I feel like a part of him honestly was a little bit, I don't know, jealous, but here Geralt's been their brother, and now he comes and his attentions are elsewhere. Like he's focusing his attention on someone else. So I think there's a little bit of like jealousy there, and maybe feeling she didn't deserve that. So, but at the end of the day, like he comes through and they end up having a very supportive relationship, Ciri and the Witchers generally.
I got the impression that Lambert is actually just treating her the same way as he would treat any of the others. So although he kind of comes up to her and he's like, what are you doing? You're crap at this. That's just how he would have talked to any of the other witches.
Probably.
So he's kind of treating her like one of the lads. He's taking the mickey out of her. But he would do that to any of the others. So I quite liked it when he, you know, when they were at the Straw Doll and they first kind of interacted. I was like, yeah, I can see where this is going. I like that. So I really like the relationship there. I think it's really sweet in its own violent way.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a bit too on the misogynistic side. The whole like talking down and calling her princess and things along those lines, when she's obviously really trying to step out of that identity and put so much into becoming a witcher, that is just like, now you're just patronizing her just to be a dick.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan of guys that talk like that, but I can see how that's also his relationship with like everybody else. He's just a general dick to everyone.
Yeah.
So,
they're rough.
yeah. I mean, obviously these guys have only ever spent any real amount of time with other guys. So,
Yeah.
And probably their only real interaction with women are ones they sleep with. So,
Yeah, and that's come up in a later episode. So anyway, after that, you know, Ciri continues to train, and meanwhile, Vesemir is obsessed. He's in the lab and he's trying to figure out what happened to Eskel. And at some point, Geralt tells him, you know, this is enough. Like, we have to lay Eskel to rest. And they do apparently keep a little part of him, because we see it later, but they take his body to a cave where it's going to be eaten by wolves. This is, I don't know if this is a standard Witcher burial, but this is what Eskel gets.
it made me feel like it was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
if the wolves come to eat you, that's like a good thing.
It's like a kind of circle of life thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like what I got from it. You know, there are these guys that are perceived as monsters, that kill monsters, that died from a monster, and then is eaten by animals that some people would also consider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally.
I think Geralt's called the White Wolf, and I think witches in general are called wolves.
Yeah. So
There's
yeah.
quite a lot of wolf imagery, isn't there?
Do you think that part of the mutation to become a witcher is like putting wolf genes?
Maybe.
Like DNA
Could be.
into it?
Yeah, maybe. Because he does the sniffing thing, doesn't he? He's got a really super good sense of smell.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
so maybe
that's
they're
the wolf
mutated
thing.
with also like wolf or canine traits.
Yeah.
I feel
Which
like
would make sense.
Google this. It's probably on some Witcher fan site. I'm assuming. I'm gonna look it up later. Anyway, here's something. The next thing that happens is kind of interesting. I didn't understand it. I had to research this a little bit. But basically, Geralt is in Ciri's room and he sees a bit of like the Leshy's arm sticking out of the wall. And he pulls it out and he sees that the Leshy's arm has gone into Ciri's room and has got a hold of her scarf and like kind of pulled it into the wall. And that scarf is her grandma's scarf. So he deduces from that he feels like this monster had a pull to Ciri. So he goes over to her and he asks her, you know, when you had visions, what does it feel like? And she's like, oh, it's like a pull. And he asks her, can you show me? Like, let's try this out. And they go to the forest and she kind of guides him with her pull, and they go to, her pull reaches the Leshy. So it's establishing there's a connection between her and the strange monsters, because the Leshy was a mutated Leshy, it was a weird Leshy. And then, you know, they start fighting the Leshy, but then 5 seconds later, this giant bug-like creature, which is apparently called 𝘕𝘰𝘵𝘕𝘵, attacks the Leshy and just like splits it in half and then runs after them. And also, I didn't gather this in the first part, but basically, Ciri runs away, and the 𝘕𝘰𝘵𝘁 is running after her, and that's when Geralt kills it. But when you guys first saw this scene, was all this clear to you? Because it was not clear to me.
It was more like, wow, her vision really just put her in death's way, didn't it? I was like, that's not a good vision. That wasn't a good vision to follow through with. But I did not realize at first that the monster was targeting Ciri until they were in kind of like that one area with all the rocks and cliffs and stuff, and then it shows itself, and it's like, yep, that's definitely coming to Ciri. But then also at the same time, I was wondering, I'm like, is it trying to attack her, or is she supposed to like command them?
Because
at that point, I felt like she was going to start commanding them, and that they were going to like, that's the thing that's going to like, you know, people are going to be wary of, is that this being is able to control these monsters and like have them do her bidding. And so, but it was still hard. It was hard to tell because it also still looked like it was going to kill her. So
I was wondering the same, because I felt like it took a while, like it was just standing there and it didn't actually do anything. But it does come up later, because in a later episode, I don't remember which one, Ciri says there's a different monster. So he's like, she says, I don't think it wanted to kill me. So that definitely seems to be something that is hinted towards.
Yeah.
Not fully.
And in the first episode, when she's what's the girl's name? The Bat Girl.
Veronica.
Yeah.
Veronica. Veronica is quite clearly a monster as well, and she's got this kind of pull towards Ciri, hasn't she?
Yeah, but then at the same time, very much did not want to cause her harm.
Yeah.
So I think that Ciri has powers of some kind to be able to, at least on an extremely subconscious manner, control monsters in general.
Yeah.
Not just like these new ones that are popping up that people have never seen before, but like previous, like already existing ones.
Yeah.
Is what I'm starting to gather from just like this little bit that's happening in that I don't know what you call that space with all the rocks.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, let's talk when we get to season 3, because I think there's something.
Oh God, there's so much. Like, wait, like what? Probably 2 years again.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
2 years was only because of the
not
pandemic, so hopefully less than that. I know they want it to be less than
I
that.
hope so. Yeah.
So
Because obviously
now,
we really know it.
so now let's talk about what happens in Aretuza. So we start off with a Brotherhood questioning Istredd, because as we know, Istredd worked in Nilfgaard, and he says that he didn't know that they were planning an attack, and all he does is studies monoliths, and so it sounds like he's on the defense, but then he puts in his own ideology, and he says that he believes the monoliths are the key to the past and the future, and then they debate on what they're going to do. So what did you guys think of this interrogation of Istredd?
I think I think they don't really know what they're stabbing at, do they? No. They've got no idea. They're just trying to get something out of him, but they don't know what they're actually aiming for. And he's, he obviously knows a lot more than he's letting on. Yeah,
that's what I wasn't so sure. I'm like, I don't know if he knew about the attack, but I feel like he could tell them something more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they just want something, anything, don't they? And he's not giving them anything. He didn't even tell them what you have for breakfast,
I mean, you could tell that he's very wary of the Brotherhood. He knows that it's all politics, and if you don't follow politics like that and you don't play that game, then they're going to try to eat you somehow. And he's just like, I'm not going to give them anything. I'm not going to play this game.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do me. I'm going to study monoliths. I'm going to help elves. And y'all can just debate all you want in this little room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. his mindset towards the Brotherhood. Like he's so over them. But he still works alongside them because I mean he's got to too. So
I think he's wary of the politics in general, whether it's Brotherhood, whether it's Nilfgaard. I think that he's a scholar first and foremost, and he doesn't want to get involved in this stuff. I think he, you know, tries to see the humanity in everybody and doesn't want to take sides.
Yeah.
So now when they're talking about, you know, there's this wonderful dramatic moment, they're like, oh, we lost 14 state mages at Saded, and Yennefer comes in, she's like, 13. I am back!
Okay, so first off, again, who knows how much time has gone? Last time we saw Yennefer, she's running through the woods, very much understanding that she has lost her powers and she is panicking. And then next thing you know, she's in Aretuza looking normal.
Yeah.
Like, like nothing's been wrong. Like, I don't even, it's like, where'd you get your clothes? Like, what is going on here?
So I've seen a couple of people object to like the speed at which people get from one place to another. And I know I was reading, like Lauren said that Thomas Baginski, who is like her co-producer, you know, kept saying, okay, you know, we have to show people like going from one place to the next because like these places are not so close. And she was like, we just don't have time. Like, so like, I don't know, maybe a few seconds of people riding on a horse or traipsing through a forest, maybe, but like, I get it, you know, it probably might have been more of a production cost than it's worth to get those few seconds, but we'll just have to imagine them traveling.
Yeah, I mean, I know that she's like, the way it jumped to her being perfectly fine and dandy after like her panic attack freak out in the last episode.
Well, she doesn't like being vulnerable in front of other people. So she's not going to walk in, especially the Brotherhood and Aretuza. I mean, like she has all these issues with them, and she for sure wants to put her strongest foot forward with them and pretend that she's perfectly fine. But she tries to tell 𝘴𝑚 because she does trust 𝘴𝑚 at this point. And, you know, she starts, you know, they have this private conversation and she's like, I have to tell you something. But before that, 𝘴𝑚 interrupts her, of course. And she tells her, you know, I was devastated when you got lost. I was so devastated that I tried to torture 𝘴𝑗. And I think she says that. And she also tells her that she and 𝘭𝑚 are trying to get council seats and Yennefer needs to lay low. So Yen doesn't get to tell her, and Yen's not too happy about it. Which is, of course, I was like, it bothers me so much because, like, when lack of communication is like a plot line and like there's no, like, she's like, you just have to tell them, but like she doesn't get to tell her. Like,
yeah, miscommunication is just such a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's how it is in real life too. Sadly, I guess. So now we have this really nice reunion scene. You know, it's funny because when the scene started out, I was like, Yennefer was in this like really low cut dress, and I was like, why does she have to be all sexy? And later on, like she kind of encounters like 𝘭𝑚 and Stregebor. I was like, oh, that's why she had to dress sexy. But anyway, I don't know. I was a little off put by the like extreme low cleavage. But
it just seemed like, what is the dress code in Aretuza? Do people just wear what they want? Like, why is she walking around in a like elegant evening gown? I don't understand.
It's like court, isn't it? You know, like a royal court. That's what I assumed. Yes.
I guess. And listen, I love dresses. I would wear beautiful dresses all day if it was acceptable. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surrounded by beautiful dresses, so I totally get it. And I'm always playing dress up, so I understand.
Yeah.
But it's not like I just kind of wear them out and about, lounging in the house by the water.
I didn't even do that. It is so fun. Do you like try on all your dresses when they come in?
Yes.
Oh.
We do. My sister and I, as soon as we start unpacking new dresses that come for the new season, the new collection, she and I will start just like undressing and start dressing each other. And our mom is just sitting back watching us. And then she'll be like, oh, we ordered that? I'm like, yes, we were at market. We saw this. and then we ordered it. Did you forget? My mom never remembers the dresses that we pick. It's fine. But yeah, it's just, we just play dress up in like these dresses that are far too big for us. And our mom just watches us. That's what we do at work.
Nice.
So it's actually quite fun.
Yeah, so speaking of girl time, now there's a little bit of girl time. We have Yennefer and Sabrina, Triss, and someone else. I don't know the third mage's name. Do you know that other one with brown hair? I don't know.
With them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they all bathe together, and Yennefer actually, it's a little sad because in the beginning she's trying to, heat up the pool, and she's like, oh, stay safe, like, I have to know how to do this. She can't do it, and like Sabrina walks in and she's like, oh, you don't know how to heat the pool, and she does it, but they still don't know that she doesn't have her power. So they all bathe together. It's really nice time. It's kind of like, this high school reunion. You get back with the people that you they were like in the fire together. I wouldn't say their student days were necessarily the most happy. They were tough, but they definitely formed a bond. And it's kind of a parallel, right? The Witchers formed a bond going through, difficult trials, and the mages. I actually saw this interview with, I think it was Jaskier, and so it was Joey and Anya and Yennefer. What would you rather go through in real life, the process of training to become a Witcher or training to become a mage? And I was like, not a mage. I don't want to go through that.
I don't know. That Witcher transformation looked real rough though.
Yeah, it didn't look great.
Flashbacks of them when they were kids, tied down. Yeah. Wait, is that in there? Did I just spoil?
No, it's later on, but it's also in Nightmare of the Wolf. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. A lot of them have turned into eels, so like I don't know which survival rate is higher. I don't know if you count being an eel as surviving, but okay. It's not fun for anyone.
Badass warrior or badass mage? I don't even know which one I would. Witchers also have powers. That's true. I think I would rather be.
I don't know. They're both appealing. Mage. I would rather be involved in politics. I know, but like I don't want to be fighting monsters all day. I'd rather be dealing with people. Hopefully I can make a difference in the kingdoms.
I know. I think hands down monsters for me. I'll go monster hunting. That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like the political game. That's not my style at all. I'm much more of a hands-on person. So I feel like it would, and I don't like manipulating.
Yeah.
Like I'm not very good at it. And I'm absolutely suck at lying. So there's that. Like everything shows on my face.
Yeah, same.
I have been told many times I have a very animated face that doesn't hide anything. So like I would suck in politics. I would suck at playing poker. I would suck at all of it.
Yeah, I don't like politics in real life. Sorry. I don't like politics in real life, but I think I would get very bored with just being killing monsters all day. Like I just am such a people's person. I have to be around people, even if it's like in a negative energy kind of way.
That's true.
But anyway, something interesting that we see is that Triss doesn't go in the water because she probably, she still has scars where she was burnt in the Battle of Sadie, so she is not comfortable yet going in the water. So, we see that this battle has left literal and figurative scars on everybody. Yeah. So now we see a little more politics. We see Stregebor, who, if you'll remember from season 1, was the mage who killed all these girls that were born during an eclipse because he thought it was like a prophecy. Anyway, so questionable dude. Yeah. And he is telling a bunch of mages the story of Falca, who was the daughter of Redania's king Friedeck. And we don't get so much detail here. I looked it up. There's apparently a lot more detail about her in the books. It's like a whole story. She's half elf, basically, half a quarter elf. And what happens is her father apparently sends her away. So she fights back against her father and Redania. And the way he tells it is that she killed everybody with her fire magic. And, we see this like image. He conjures up this like fearsome image of Falca burning everyone. And what he's implying is that Yennefer, who is of elven blood and who used fire magic at the Battle of Sadie, he thinks she'll come and kill them all, right? He's trying to scare them against Yennefer. now Istredd is there and he defends her. And he says, Falco was just like trying to claim what was her own. And Stregebor was like, you weren't there to see it. And then he shows them, he basically shows them that he claimed she burned his hands off. And, his hands are just illusions. And Istredd doesn't really have what to say. But basically, it's just showing you Stregebor is very distrustful of Yennefer. And
which is why I feel like why he's distrustful of, like, that's what, like, is deep-seated prejudice against elves that has flown onto Yennefer, and then on top of it, Yennefer is just really powerful.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
The power that really, really scares him, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're right.
He doesn't like the idea of someone being more powerful than him, and he doesn't like the idea of that person being elven descent. Yeah. And so he's like, let me play my politics and try to get people against her.
Yeah.
Even though she saved everyone and fucking won that battle and lost all her powers, so no one knows that bit.
Right. And that comes up actually really. Yeah, so that comes up in a second. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. But before that, we see Yennefer sees that Cahir is in prison, and it's just not much of substance happens, but there's just like this repartee between them, and Cahir is being very freaky. It was really well done. He's like sticking his hands out the prison, looking half dead. I mean, it's really spooky. And he says another like, the white flame will cleanse us all. I don't know. He says some more religious fanatic stuff, and it's just perfectly freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she tells him, he's like, oh, will they kill me? And she's like, oh, we're not going to kill you unless there's a purpose, like it has to be to show something. So it's a little bit of foreshadowing. But, Yennefer is kind of being bitter about already. I mean, she always has been. She's bitter about the mages. She kind of like implied, even though he's the enemy, she kind of makes fun of the mages and, eat to his face. So it's Yennefer being Yennefer,
Yeah.
So now, the next person that she meets Vilgefortz. She's walking through the hallway, and you hear people arguing, and it's very ambiguous. You don't really get much information. It's very vague. And then she sees that it's Vilgefortz, and they have this little interaction. So I don't know about you guys, but the last thing we saw of Vilgefortz in season 1 was, he fights with Cahir, and then he goes rolling down a hill. You think he's dead, and then I was like, he's not dead. And then you see him later, get up, and he sees a bunch of dead Nilfgaard soldiers. And you see one of his mages, sitting there, and it's clear that he killed all those soldiers with some kind of spell. And he's like, help me. And what Vilgefortz does is he eats him to death. And right away, I was like, huh. I was like, whoa. I was like, wait, is that a Nilfgaard mage? I was like, did I get confused? And I watched it and I was like, no, this is like one of their own. I was like, something's up with Vilgefortz. What do you guys think? And this whole interaction also, it seems to me it's like a setup, to like, there's something's up with Vilgefortz behind the scenes. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
He's definitely got some vibes, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Definitely got those kind of like, what would you call it? Like double agent vibes, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, there's just so much.
Yeah, I have to say, I love his outfit.
It's interesting because like the way they do the Witchers, they really make you question who is the villain, who's the real villain, like who is the bad guy, because there are parts of Nilfgaard that they believe in that are like, I get that. I get what they're trying to do. They suck at it, but I get what they're trying to do. And it's not the worst thing possible. And then you have the Brotherhood and all that, and the North, and they're so fucking racist and prejudiced. So you're like, how can they be the good guys? How are they not the villains in this story? So it's just, it's really interesting because you don't know. You actually really don't know who the true villain is because anyone can be the villain.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes it such a good story, though. You know, all the ambiguity, because that's very reflective of, you know, how things are in the real world, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
How do you define the good guy and the bad guy? I mean, you can't really. There's not. This
and
is not. You know.
You don't even realize that you're the villain.
Yeah. To them, they all think they're doing the right thing. So I like that. I think that's like as far as storytelling goes, I think that is that's what kind of keeps you very, very engaged, very interested in all of that, and kind of willing to put up with all the time hops and the many storylines, is because you're kind of constantly trying to go, okay, but they did this and that was okay, but also they believe that. I think I just love it. I think it's fantastic.
100%.
And I feel like he's right there. Is he a villain? Is he not a villain? Is he a villain? Is he not a villain? Whose name I can't pronounce with the V. How do you say it?
𝘫𝘪𝘵.
Yeah, that's not easy to say. I mean, majority of these names are not easy for me to say. They're just
a lot to learn them. That's actually one of the things that I find difficult with fantasy, because the names are not names I'm familiar with and have a very hard time remembering them. Because if it's like Stella, whatever, like you know the name, so you don't have to spend mental effort remembering the name. But like when it's fantasy and it's completely made up name, like 100 of them in a row, it's very hard to keep track.
You've done a really good job of it, though. Like a really good job at keeping track of these names.
And so it's one of the things that I really thought about when I was very first developing Celestis. I was like, okay, I want some interesting names. For sure, but the main characters, you will notice all of their names can be shortened down to very, very short, easy names. Even if their names are like massively long names, they can all be cut down. They all kind of refer to each other by those little short names as well, because I would struggle to keep it straight, I think. And I have to, because I'm in charge.
Little plug, check out Sadie's webtoon, Celestis, on webtoon.
Yes.
So now we have, speaking of like morally ambiguous characters, because I kind of do have something else to say about Stregebor. Stregebor sees her in the hallway and he doesn't trust her. He's like, you know, he basically does the same thing, the same illegal thing that Sadie did to Cahir. He, you know, puts his hands on her brain and extracts her memories, and he sees everything that has happened to her. And you know, she's screaming and she can't really stop him. I don't know if she would have been able to stop him if she had her powers. I'm assuming she would have. And I don't know if he realizes. Did he realize that he lost her powers? I don't think so.
I don't think he realizes it yet.
Okay.
I thought he might have an inkling, because I was under the impression that Yen is very powerful, and if she didn't want someone intruding on her brain, then usually she would just be like, and nobody's getting in there. So I think he does suspect something or know something. I don't know, but yeah.
I'll look it up. So, question. But Tisea stops him and she says, "You're going to be accountable." And the next thing that we see is a meeting, and Stregebor's trying to defend himself to the Brotherhood, and he says she can't be trusted. And you know, he's like, she went through all that. She was captured by Nilfgaard, and how did she escape unscathed? So that's where I kind of wonder. That's what makes me think that he doesn't realize that she lost her magic, because basically, like, if she had her magic, she would have been able to do something. And I don't know, I think that way that he said it just made me really think that he didn't realize. But I think that, to give Stregebor a little credit, I think he doesn't trust Yen. I think there's obviously that psychological element. Yeah, like maybe she's more powerful and he doesn't trust her. I think he is probably misogynistic. But I think there also is an element where he just doesn't trust her. And she's a wild card, especially given what she does at the end of the episode. She's never been one to follow the rules. She abandoned her post at the court, which is like very bad form for a maid. You know, that's what their job is. I think he doesn't trust that she'll be on their side and that she can follow rules, right? Like when you're in an institution, you try to establish rules so that you know what's going to happen, so things are predictable. And she's not predictable. She does whatever she wants. So I get that aspect.
Yeah, her unpredictability is what makes him so distrustful of her and scared of her at the same time, on top of her being so powerful.
Yeah.
Like one of the most powerful mages they've ever come across.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's still a dick.
Yeah, definitely. So I will say though, at least he's very forthright. You know, unlike maybe 𝘫𝘪𝘵𝘀 or other, you know, people who have like a hidden agenda, he's like, as far as we can tell, he just says it, and he like is very clear about what he thinks.
He just comes right out and be like, I don't trust her, and all y'all need to not trust her too.
Yeah. Do you think he's wrong to not trust her though?
I think he's right to not trust her. I do. I don't think
I absolutely. You know, I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her, I don't think.
I mean, I would never trust Yen. She's awful. I still don't understand why all these people love her. I just don't even get it. At this point, she hasn't done anything redeemable yet. Like,
yeah,
all
in
she
the
did
next
was
episode she does. Yeah. The next episode she does good stuff. So, but yeah, I get that. She's a tough one. I'm very mixed. So speaking of another person who may or may not have other motives, she has this conversation with Istredd, and kind of nice because, you know, they're reuniting. And basically what happens is Yen tries to, you know, she just plans on leaving because she's frustrated with everybody being distrustful of her. And Istredd's like, don't go, because Stregebor has spies on the tower and he'll see you leaving. Which, yeah, what happens next? Okay. And yeah, so what happens next is that Shaseya tells her, you know, the Brotherhood has decided you have to be the one to kill Cahir. They want to make sure that you can follow orders, and they want to make sure that you're on our side, right? Because if she would be like a spy for Nilfgaard, presumably she wouldn't want to kill Cahir, right? So it's kind of like a test: are you on Nilfgaard's side or are you on our side? And Yen is very upset, and Shaseya's like, sorry, you got to do this. Politics, right? That's how it works. So they have this whole ceremony.
I would tell me if someone told me I had to kill someone. I'd be like, you want me to be the executioner? I'm not even doing, I'm not killing during fighting. I'm killing someone that's just being held down. Like, that's completely different. It's a different kind of kill that you throw out there. So that's, I mean, obviously Cahir deserves it, but at the same time, again, like, it takes a lot to kill someone that's not even attacking you, that's completely helpless at that moment in time. So, I mean, I feel like a bit of your humanity would leave when you do something like that.
Yeah,
and
I was quite surprised at how she reacted, because she is so ruthless elsewhere and, you know, doing other things. So I was a bit, you know, like, okay, but is it more that she doesn't want to be told what to do, as opposed to that, you know, she doesn't particularly care about the killing him bit? It's more of a kind of, yeah, if you want him dead, go and do it yourself. I do what I want kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the impression that I got. It wasn't so much about who it was or what she had to do or anything like that. It was just, you know, no, I don't want to do what you tell me to do. Go and do it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you're just as a political pawn. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, she's not got any interest in any of that at all. Yeah. And they could have been, it could have been, you know, go and walk the dog, and she'd be like, no, I don't want to go walk the dog.
It's like, it's a bit humiliating, you know. It's putting her in her place. And she doesn't want to be in her place.
And it's a public thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it's not like she's going to be doing it by herself, tucked away somewhere. It's you know, they're kind of making an example of her. Look, we can even control Yennefer, and you know how powerful she was, and she's the big bad, and we are in charge of her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely playing that politics, because she was the one who did the incredible act that Sadie in, right? So they're like, no, she's our dog, she's our servant. She doesn't do it on her own. It's not her. Yeah.
Yeah. Our Torah.
Our Torah.
Our enforcer. She's our enforcer.
So, and yeah, like you said, it's at this big public display. I actually really like this whole part, because they have this memorial, and it's like a ceremony, and it's all this pomp and circumstance, and like have all this people sitting down, and the king's in the front, and like they erected this big statue in honor of the mages that lost their lives, and they're thanking the monarchy for coming and honoring the mages. So I am a big fan of public ceremonies. I think that they are how we express our values, they're how we express what's important to us. So I enjoy seeing that carried out in the Witcher universe, where it's like, okay, we had this battle, everyone was lost, and we're having now this political event where like we're showing our respect, and we're showing our alliance. Except there's a remark that King Foltest, I think, makes to another king, where it basically makes some kind of derogatory remark about the mages. So you could see like they're not always so happy with their mages. They kind of feel a little bit like they're coming it around, which is exactly what the mages, how they talk about them. They're like, oh, those kings and queens, they're too foolish. We have to make sure like they calm down. Like we have to guide them.
But then there are the kings that don't want the mages to feel like they have all the power. So they have to figure out how to bring them back now. Make them understand that they're beneath us, or some bullshit.
Right?
Another parallel between the witches and the mages, because they're tools, aren't they? Both sets of them, they are tools that are possessed by someone and used by someone. And seen as less than.
I don't know, because they both, Yennefer certainly feels that way. She always feels like the mages were a tool, and they just, at first the Brotherhood tells you what to do, and then the kings tell you what to do. I do feel like the mages themselves think they're better than the royalty. I don't know how they're perceived. I haven't gotten a sense that they're perceived negatively by the regular crowd. Like, I think they're feared and respected. What sense did you guys get that they're from the regular populace?
I think they're revered by the general public, by commoners, especially because you can be a commoner and become a powerful mage, which is what happened to Yennefer. So I can see how Yennefer can also be an inspiration, and to the downtrodden that the world wanted to throw away.
Yeah. I mean, they did also they said that they put wards up to stop any magic happening as well, didn't they? Though?
Yeah, but they just did it themselves. So it's not like the kings did it. But that was,
they did it because they got told to, go and do this, go and turn everybody's magic off, rather than, electing to do it.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. It could be, right? Like they want to equalize them because the kings are maybe threatened by the level of power that they have.
Yeah, I would liken it to, I don't know, where you are in America, you all have guns and stuff, which I still find bizarre.
Right now.
Just whip it out.
So, I used to actually sit on my father's lap while he would clean his handguns when I was like 5.
Oh.
See? But, I mean, to each their own. Philippines, so there's that too, where every other person in the Philippines has a gun. Like, so normal.
The only people that have guns here are farmers.
Yeah.
That makes sense. To keep them.
But anyway, when you go to these events and stuff, presumably there must be events where they're like, okay, nobody is allowed guns here, and the people that have the guns haven't decided that. It's the authority, whoever they might be, that's decided that. So I kind of saw it as, whoever's in charge was just like, right, no magic, no risk, no nothing, just shut it all down. That's what I kind of, and again, back to this kind of distrust, this general distrust of mages.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important plot-wise, because when Yennefer does what she does, basically, I think, presumably, if they still don't know she doesn't have her magic, then they wouldn't know, right? Because she doesn't use magic. So it's still like the fact that she doesn't use magic doesn't give her away. It's just part of the ceremony. So now let's talk about what happens.
Yeah.
Basically what happens is this is really dramatic moment. I was so unsure. Basically, they leave Cahir, his head is on the executioner block. They hand her the axe, and she's like, oh, do they just like, do I, don't I? I was really not sure until the last minute. I was like, please don't kill Cahir, please, because I really like Cahir. I wanted to see him, but I was not sure what was going to happen. Okay, raise your hand. Did you guess? What did you think? Did you think she was going to kill him or not?
Oh, I totally knew she was going to release him.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I couldn't imagine
there was too
her
much
doing it.
build up. There was way too much build up to it. And
She
too
protested
much
too much.
emphasis on her killing him that she was just like, nah, bitches, I ain't gonna do that shit. I'm too fucking gangsters, like, to fucking kill someone you want me to kill. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. She had a proper kind of, no, you're not telling me what to do. I do whatever I want. Bye.
Yeah.
So
No, I knew she wasn't gonna kill him.
Okay, I
just didn't know how it was gonna happen.
And it was cool how it happened. She ends up axing his chains instead, and he doesn't think for a second. He just runs right out.
No, he was so bad. I was like, holy shit. His reflexes for someone that's just been in prison, that is impressive. He was like,
Good job.
that's like, that was so, I was like, he is in tune with her actions.
Yep. And Yennefer decides to cause wreak havoc. And again, with the fire theme, she, axes the two pillars that are burning and brings it down. I was very surprised, like nobody got up. Everyone was just like sitting there shocked in their seats. Nobody moved really. And she runs away. She somehow gets this horse and Cahir's hanging out and she's like, whatever, you can come with me. And they gallop away together. I didn't get that.
No, but when I saw that horse, I knew it was premeditated.
Yeah.
Which
So
she knew exactly what she knew how to escape.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She already knew what she was gonna do. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that horse was placed there, I feel like, by her. That whole thing was premeditated because it went so smoothly too.
Mm.
Like,
Or was it put there by what's his name?
Is-
Oh,
Istrid?
yeah.
I kind of assumed
Has he helped her because
See how he would do that, being like, I feel like this is what Yennefer will do because it's Yen.
he kind of hinted at, I know you're gonna escape. I know you're gonna do it. Don't do it this way. So and he obviously, there's a relationship there, isn't there? He cares for her. So yeah, say that again.
Villagers cares for Yennefer?
No, Istrid.
Istrid. Oh, okay, sorry. Huh. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because he gave her the whole, don't, I know you're going to make a run for it, but don't do it this way. I have a feeling that it might have been him that's helped her.
I feel like that
because it all went very smooth.
It did go
Say it
smooth.
again.
I kind of think it was just like, plot purposes, like, oh, there happens to be a getaway car right there. You know how it always works, right? There's like somehow you just knock the guy out of the car and like you just take off with it. I thought it was a similar idea. But the first thing I thought of, or my husband said when we were watching her escape, he's like, wait, so like if she would have snuck out in the middle of the night, yeah, like the guards would have seen her, but like this is like a giant spectacle. I don't know if this is preferred, but it's very Yennefer to make a big deal.
Yeah.
She knows how to make an entrance and an exit.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I don't think it was planned though. I do think it was a spur of the moment decision. I feel like if she would have planned something, she would have done something different, like a little more discreet. I think the fact that she went out with such a bang, yes, it's her personality, but I think that it was a last minute decision. Like she just couldn't do it. That's
yeah. I mean, maybe she put the horse there just in case.
Well, I'm going to pose this here. If I told one of my ponies, like, go and stand over there for 10 minutes while no one's supervising you, they're not going to be there when you go. They're going to go and find something to eat. They've got
you dumped some bale of hay in front of them.
They're like, oh, no one's looking, so I'm just going to see what that is over there. So, I think maybe I'm just reading into it too much because I'm around them every day, but I think someone had to have put the horse there because otherwise it had just gone, see you later.
Yeah.
Well,
And
come with me.
we're just wandered into that exact spot very conveniently.
That's movies. I think that's like, you just have to take a certain amount of coincidence into account. I don't know. I think we all suspend belief a little bit. But the thing that really was puzzling to me is, why does she take Cahir? Like,
yeah, I don't understand that. I watched it a couple of times and reverse engineered my theory of, I think it was planned, because the first time I was like, what? What, you know, and he asks her, doesn't he, why are you saving me? And she says, I'm saving myself. What does that mean? Why does she need him for? I don't know. Horse is going to be a lot slower, isn't it, with 2 people than 1?
I think she had enough to know that she's like, if she were to let him go, then more or less they were going to be on the same side.
If she let him go and he doesn't have a horse to escape on, they're just going to catch him and kill him anyway, aren't they?
Yeah. So I feel like Yennefer will use anyone to help her agenda.
Yeah.
And there he was to help her agenda, because at that point she doesn't really know where she's going to go. She just knew she had to run.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. So
another thing, we'll have to reconvene. You know, we'll see which of our theories is correct. Was it planned?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's because they realized, I don't know, maybe she realized that the probability of 2 people watching each other's backs is better than 1 person watching their own back.
I mean, I guess along that line, you could say, like, she knows since he's Nilfgaard, and since she just like basically put a big middle finger in the Brotherhood's face, she might need the help of someone who's on the other side, like, since he's a Nilfgaard, you know, captain. So I think she just felt bad for him. That I think that maybe, you know, when they were walking together to the execution place, maybe she established a little bit of a bond and she felt connected and she just didn't want him to get killed. But I think also it might be like another big FU to the Brotherhood. It's like, you want to kill this guy? I'm not letting you do that. I'm taking him. Like, go to hell. You're not doing what you want to do.
See that one too. I can totally see being one of her reasons to bring him along with her. Be like, ha, I got him. You know, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
But none of us think that it was out of the kindness of her heart.
No.
Yeah, no, you don't think so? Okay. You know, I'll admit, I have a very soft spot for Cahir. So like, I might be a little bit blinded when it comes to him. So like, I might be seeing more human emotion than is really warranted on all levels, from him towards him.
Yeah.
And this is, by the way,
I mean, he's just this blind dog to the fucking whatever white light shiny thingy he's loved so much.
I'm hoping to see more. I'm hoping there's more depth to him because I really like him. And I think I really don't know why. I think a large part of it is literally he has a look that I like. I think it's just as superficial as that. And I think there's also the character. I know, right? It's a little embarrassing. But I think there's also an element that I kind of want to see the bad guy be redeemed. You know, I like the moments of humanity that we saw with him in season 1. Like when we got to see him actually talk to Fringilla and his fight with the Doppler, like you got to see him as a human, and I like seeing that the bad guys are not the big bad. I like to see them humanized, and I want to understand his motives. I want to see his weakness. I want to see why he does what he does. I want to see him break down. I love that. So that's my little hope for Cahir.
Yeah. Yeah, I truly believe everything Yennefer did is for her own benefit and not for anybody else's.
Yeah,
that is 100% sure. And there's definitely
yes, the Stregebor was right. Can't be trusted.
Yeah.
She's doing a real good job at proving his points. It's like when people live their stereotype sometime. I'm like, stop living your stereotype. They exist for a reason. I get that. Stop living it, because then it's just going to perpetuate it. Which is what she's doing. She's just like, she's already been labeled, you know, this distrustful person that will stab you in the back the moment, you know, she has the opportunity, and then like she did. So she did prove him.
Ramifications for her are going to be pretty big. I was like, were you not thinking, girl? Because now, like, you're just getting them to think, like, you just did it probably because you didn't want to be told what to do, right? But now they're going to think you're in with 𝘧𝘪𝘵𝘩, in cahoots. You just rescued their main guy and ran away with him. Like, you're going to be branded as a traitor now. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
That's quite a big swing, isn't it? Because she was the hero when they all thought she was dead. And then she came back and they were like, no thanks. And now she's done this. She's going to be filth to them, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
What a
yeah, but it could be one of those, well, since you already think this of me, I might as well fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I saved your ass, you ungrateful pricks. So let me just go and be who you think I am. Since you already think it anyway.
Yeah.
Even though I saved your ass.
Yeah, it's a great lesson that people become what you expect them to be.
Yeah.
It's like, had you given her the benefit of the doubt, had you not made her try to kill this guy, she probably would still be by your side.
Yep.
Solid lesson.
Yeah. Do your own killing.
Yeah, and you know, I guess speaking of politics, this is what I think good politics is about. When you recognize the type of person you're dealing with and you work with their style. Because yeah, you might want to be rule bound. This is what we do. A, B, C. Follow the rules. This is the hierarchy. But you have to recognize the personalities of people that you're working with, and sometimes you have to go around the rules. You have to say, okay, it's, you know, yeah, you did a great job, or yeah, we'll give you this position of authority because you know she needs that, right? So that's what I think, like, people with good people skills understand how to do. And
yeah, that's what a leader does.
Yeah.
Like an actual good leader recognizes, you know, the strengths and weaknesses of those that they are leading, and, you know, go based off of that, treat people based off of that, assign them duties based off of that. Whereas this dude is like not
clear.
that.
Very clear. He's rigid. I mean, the whole bit with like the what he did with the girls, right? He didn't even stop to consider, after, you know, all the evidence to the contrary, really, like, you know, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this prophecy, I'm misinterpreting this prophecy. No, he's like black and white. He's got blinders on. You know, this is what it says. This is what I do, right?
So let me go kill all these women, even, you know, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cool, right? People. They're always the most interesting things out there. Yep. So anything else to say on this episode before we conclude?
I think this is the first episode where I actually liked Ciri. Up until this one, I just found her to be just really whiny and irritating. And then finally it's like, you know, flipped the switch and she's a much more engaging character. There's a lot more to her, isn't there?
And her glow up from last season, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, I will take the opportunity to mention. So it's not, you know, I don't know if you noticed her eyebrows went from blonde to brown. I just watched an interview with her. She said basically, she was like, I'm not going to have any eyebrows left if you keep bleaching my eyebrows. Like, we have to stop bleaching my eyebrows. So that's why I decided to switch to brown. But I will say, I was thrown off constantly by the very obvious wig. I'm sorry. Like, I grew up in a community where women wear wigs, right? Orthodox women cover their hair with wigs. So, you know, right? You know, even if it's people wear $5,000 wigs where I come from. And they spend a lot of money.
I can spot a wig from a mile away.
Yeah, you can tell. It's just, it's more voluminous. There's more volume than a regular person's hair, and it sits higher. like the person's hair is under it. It just sits higher, and you can just tell. And it's like, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry to say this because the costumes are beautiful and the set is beautiful. And like I was not taken out for a moment except by the wigs. You know, when I could tell.
I think what bothered me a little about Ciri is that they put makeup on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why does she have lashes, yo?
Right.
She shouldn't be having lashes. Who has lashes during that time? First off, you're being thrown in the mud. Why do you have lashes? Second off, where do you even get mascara to have lashes, you very, very blonde person? Like, it's just like stuff like that. I'm like, why? I get you guys are trying to make her appear older, more mature, someone that's more capable, things along like those lines, you know, venturing away from like the weak little helpless princess into like transforming her into like a badass warrior. But you don't need to give her lashes to do that.
I'm not going to say anything because, you know, Yana, who is the main character in my comic, she has got the most massive lashes.
It's a webtoon though.
It's a tune, whereas this is a
Yeah, it's like, you know.
She isn't blonde though.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think what I really like about this episode is that she's like a little Yana. Ciri is like little Yana.
Aww,
I like that.
So I actually have another word to say about costumes, and if we're gonna say like Ciri was, you know, put makeup on to feminize her more. Geralt's new armor. I was like, why are they putting these like fake abs and pecs on his armor? You know, you saw the difference, right? The first one was just like straight, and second season it's like this like Superman thing, like this or Batman with like these chiseled abs, as is to remind us, like, yes, please remember, Geralt has muscles underneath. But I don't know. To me, it's like the way that women are sexualized with like showing their skin. You know, the armor they like to have like this boobs are showing in their armor, right? Which makes no sense. So for men, like the way that we sexualize them is their muscles, right? And like, you know, I was distraught to hear that like people, when they show off their muscles in movies, they have to like dehydrate themselves for a couple of days so that we can like lust after them. They have to be starving for a couple of days. I was like, please don't do it. Like, please, we don't need that.
Like that's what competitive bodybuilders do, is that they have to dehydrate themselves in order for their muscles to be defined and for it to look all like sinewy and shit. It's just
it's to me, it's the equivalent of like women starving themselves to be thin, you know? I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's right that we put these expectations on these actors and actresses. So it's my little.
But having the armor shaped like that as well, that would not be a good thing. Because, you know, if you think about like the shape of breastplates and things, they're that shaped so that weapons glance off of them. If they've got all these kind of pits and divots, then they're just going to be kind of shot into you more. It's not good. I was watching, because I'm a massive nerd, I was watching something about Boba Fett the other day, and they were saying that his armor, his helmet especially, is a really good example of a great design that would actually be useful in real life. And then kind of comparing it to like Wonder Woman, what is going on there?
Dumbest.
It's showing my soft skin everywhere.
No. Well, Wonder Woman, she's a goddess, so it's not like she can die. But what always threw me off as far as like costumes and whatnot is fucking Catwoman. I'm like, why the fuck is she running around in stiletto fucking heels? Like, who the fuck around, jumps, lands with fucking stiletto heels? No one.
Thank you. No, I don't even wear high heels for like parties because I hate them so much. So
I don't wear them because they make me 6'3".
Oh, I don't. No, I refuse to fucking wear them. Scott's like, but they look so nice. I'm like, have you had them on your feet before?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, then shut up. If you're unwilling to wear these extremely uncomfortable shoes, please do not ask me to. That's how that works.
Yep.
It's like, I can be cute without them. I could be cute wearing my combat boots, okay? I don't need stilettos.
Yep, I concur. I have one more note about costumes. So did you guys notice that Nilfgaard got like a completely different armor from season 1 to season 2? Because I did not. And when I was looking it up and I was looking up costumes, people were side by side and they look like completely different. I'll have to send you a link. It's like totally different. Like the first season's like this wavy thing, and the second season's like whatever, just angles. I was like, wow, I did not notice at all.
No, I never really paid close attention to the Nilfgaard people, to be honest.
I feel bad because it's like, I'm sure they spent a lot of effort redesigning, and they had a purpose in mind, and it flew over my head.
I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, that's not going to be very helpful either, is it? You want you want shiny armor. You want stuff to go away from you.
Yeah.
Away. Not into all those little wiggly bits. What's that? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. This was so much fun. It was lovely. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much to my current patrons: Susie, Lady Libreth, Lily, Jenny Haley, Maria, Molly, Veronica, Emily, 𝘕𝘰𝘵𝘀𝘁, Saucy Toggles, Meg, Anna Rose, Priya, Alexa, Misty, Laura, Joanne, Patty, Milda, Esther, and Watching You People, Doris, Poppy C, Marie, Jen, Emily, Jane, Jen, Erin D, Kate, Lily, Becca, Duranda, Christine, Sadie, and Kelly. Your support is truly appreciated.